Former President Donald Trump faces new criminal charges for the attempt to overturn the 2020 election.
The indictment handed up yesterday accuses Trump of conspiring to defraud the U.S. government. Federal prosecutors say the former president knew he lost the 2020 election but schemed to illegally undo the results. That culminated with the attack on the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2020, which has Congress certified.
Lies by the defendant targeted at obstructing a bedrock function of the U.S. government, the nation's process of electing, counting, and certifying the results of the presidential election.
It comes on the heels of unbelievable allegations against Mr. Biden and his son, as well as the fact that Donald Trump is leading in the polls right now.
Several unindicted co-conspirators are listed in the charges. They include Rudy Giuliani and Dallas-based lawyer Sidney Powell. Trump is set to appear in court tomorrow in Washington. These are connected to the two other criminal cases brought against this. SMU's Center for Presidential History, Dr. Jeff Engel, read through the 45-page indictment. He joins us this morning. Good morning to you.
Hi, good morning.
All right, so what does this new indictment allege, and how does it compare to the last two?
Well, this, I think, is actually the most important one and the biggest one that we've seen, because this is going to be an indictment that is about what Trump did as president politically. What this suggests is that the January 6th investigation, the January 6th attack, is not the real story here. This suggests that the indictment says that there was a longer conspiracy from Donald Trump that began after the election that was essentially trying to use the Electoral College and a fake slate of electors to try to go around the courts, go around the Congress, and come up with a way to stay in office after he knew he had actually legitimately lost the election. So what's critical here is that whereas previous cases were about documents or about his financial dealings, actually about what he did as president, whether or not he fulfilled his constitutional oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. And the indictment, no, he did not.
All right, so let's talk a little bit more about that point. The Electoral College accusations that Trump tried to find fake electors. You say there's some irony there.
Well, there's a great irony that he's trying to use the apparently, according to the indictment, he tried to use the Electoral College in order to find a way to stay in office. And the Electoral College was designed in 1787 by the founders as a way essentially to diffuse popular sentiment, to get away from the idea that the people might actually have an opinion, because there was a worry from the founders that the people could be easily. Was designed in 1787 by the founders as a way essentially to diffuse popular sentiment, to get away from the idea that the people might actually have an opinion, because there was a worry from the founders that the people could be easily deluded by a con man. So they set up this system where essentially you'd have experienced, wise, smart members of society essentially taking care of the people's vote to make sure that the people's vote was actually legitimate. Those are the electors. Those are the people who actually vote for the president. When we vote for the president, we're actually voting for who the elector from our state is going to be. The irony, therefore, is that the very institution that was created in 1787 to ensure that there was a steady hand at the wheel, if you will, of the government was the very one that Trump is alleged to have used to try to subvert the election.
And we want to welcome soccer viewers to Good Day here. They just finished that, and we're speaking with Jeff Engel from the SMU's Center for Presidential History. Now, we've seen an interesting pattern here, and you mentioned the politics surrounding this. For every indictment, Trump's poll numbers go up. So politically, that kind of sparks a lot of questions and caution from both sides of the aisle.
Yes, and I really hope that we can try to essentially disassociate these two things. I can't do it, neither can anyone in the country, but we have to try, because the truth is there's going to be two different trials going on in this fall and into next year. By trials, I mean first the legal case. There's actually 3 legal cases right now against Donald Trump, one for federal documents, state level in New York, which of course a president can't do away with, can't pardon himself from that should Donald Trump be elected. That's a financial deal. And of course, we're expecting another one on the election to come down on the state level from Georgia. Those are all legal matters, and those are going to be adjudicated in the courts, hopefully based upon evidence, and as Donald Trump has with every other American, the same right to be innocent until proven guilty. Simultaneous to that, however, there's going to be a trial in the court of public opinion, which is, of course, the election. And it's going to be very fascinating to see how one seeps into the other. Right now, before the evidence has been displayed to the American public from these indictments, just the indictment claims, right now, Donald Trump appears to be getting stronger every time he gets indicted. And I got to tell you, that's a sentence that would have blown the minds of the people who wrote the Constitution. They truly believed that the most important element of any political leader was what they referred to as virtue. That is a sense that a person could put themselves above the needs, put the needs of the country above their own needs.
Right.
And they just would not have fathomed a case where they would have a politician worry so much about his own political career as to make the country worry about him and not the country's needs.
Right. So much more to talk about. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Dr. Jeff Engel, appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.